Hey guys, my name is Matteo, and welcome to another episode of Sunday Mailbox. This is a video series where you, the viewer, can submit your gaming or Battlefield-related questions, and then I will give my humble opinion on them. To get the formalities out of the way real quick, if you would like to submit your own question that could be featured in an upcoming episode, you can do so by leaving a comment down below, or by sending me a Facebook and Twitter message. The first question for today comes from Loggy, and it is, are you happy that Star Wars Battlefront has finally confirmed that there will be dedicated servers? Yeah, I mean, I'm always going to be happy with dedicated servers, but maybe I'm just becoming an old man at this point, but when I hear that a game's going to have dedicated servers, I immediately think that it's going to have server browser support. If you guys aren't up to speed, Star Wars Battlefront on PC or any system, doesn't matter what platform you're playing on, isn't going to have server browsers at all. And so while it's great that there is going to be dedicated servers, because there are going to be some pros to that, and we'll get to that here in a second, the fact that there isn't a server browser associated with it, it just rubs me the wrong way, and it just feels archaic. Like, I don't understand why DICE is doing this. On a positive note, though, one great quality that is coming from this news is that this will hopefully mean that gameplay will be more stable. If you've ever played a peer-to-peer game like Call of Duty, where you're connected to a host that's across the ocean, you know that the gameplay itself can really suffer. You get killed around corners constantly, and while I know that this isn't just exclusive to a peer-to-peer system, we had a lot of those problems back in Battlefield 4, this will hopefully reduce the amount of latency and lag that happens in Star Wars Battlefront, and I can't really see that be a bad thing. And so that is one nice quality. Another nice thing about it is that this will hopefully allow DICE to really balance the game around certain server settings. One thing that does get a little bit annoying about Battlefield 4 on occasion is that if you join an instant vehicle spawn server, the admins tweak the server settings slightly. Depending on the game mode, it can actually ruin or make the game a little bit worse. If you're trying to push up onto an MCOM or push up onto an objective, and you are finally able to take out a tank, which is meant to be a valuable resource, like the tank is meant to be something that you overcome, but if you don't have a breathing room, you don't have a couple of minutes where you're waiting on the respawn, and it's just right back into the action, there is no way you're going to be able to arm that MCOM, and it can lead to a lot of frustration. And so I guess that is one nice quality about not having server browser, is that there won't be any admins, there won't be anyone in there to mandate or change the settings slightly, so we won't have these issues. That said though, I really do believe that the pros completely outweigh the cons when we do have server browsers. One of the great things about having a server browser in any first-person shooter is that it builds a community around it, and people come back and flock to it because they know that they're going to have an enjoyable experience. These communities build up because they know that admins are going to self-regulate these communities. If you jump on in and you're always having to deal with hackers or high pingers, that's probably not going to get you to join that server ever again. But if you do know that a community has some great admins that are going to kick anyone that has suspicious gameplay or has really high pings, the overall experience is better, and that community is going to thrive. You're not going to get that in Star Wars Battlefront. One theory for why I've heard that EA is doing this is that it's not in their best interest to provide this type of support for their player base. They want you to buy their next big video game, and if it's Battlefield 5, they don't want you to continue to play Battlefield 4 with all of this great support. They want you to make that purchase. And so the logic of this is that if they do allow you to build up these communities, that you're going to be less likely to pick up the next title. This is backwards logic. If a game developer continuously supports their video game for years, the community is going to realize that this support is happening, and they're going to be way more likely to pick up the next big game. If you know that Battlefield 4 had all of this support years on out, then they have evidence, they have clear evidence that that's probably going to be the case for the next big Battlefield game. Yes, if you have server browsers or you allow these communities to build up, yes, a few of them are not going to make the transition on over into Battlefield 5. But for the vast majority of the community that probably isn't playing Battlefield 4 anymore, but had a good time because this support and these mechanics were in place, they're going to be a hell of a lot more likely to pick up the next big Battlefield game. And so while I am very happy that we are getting dedicated servers, like, don't get me wrong, I think that is amazing news. We just learned about it yesterday. That is phenomenal. I just wish they would go back on their policy that we're not going to get server browsers, because I really do think that it's an integral part of any PC community, and it's really disappointing that EA and DICE has made that decision. So it's kind of good news with some bad news. The next question comes from Justin, and it is, do you think that the UCAV and the US UAV gadgets have run their course and won't be seen in any future Battlefield game? Well, I don't want to speak in absolutes because honestly, I have no idea, but I'm hoping and crossing my fingers that DICE has learned their lesson with the SUAV and the UCAV, where adding in more gadgets doesn't necessarily make for a better first-person shooter. These two things have been changed continuously over the last couple of years. I mean, since their release, they have seen basically just nerfs across the board. The UCAV has now a 1-minute cooldown where you have to wait on that thing to recharge. The SUAV used to not explode, and it was used for actually road killing people because while yes, at the beginning of Battlefield 4, or when these were first released, they were kind of cool in concept. It's really cool to see a flying C4 land against an enemy helicopter and see that nice fireball explosion. Like, that's cool. The SUAV kind of gives you a little bit more intel. It's like a faster moving version of the MAV. But when we get down to it, the community just starts to abuse these types of mechanics. The SUAV had to be changed because it was abused. People would just roadkill the enemy. The UCAV started to get abused because people would stand next to a commander crate and just fling these things all over the place, getting kills all the time. It was game breaking to some extent. Not only that, but I just think from a gameplay standpoint, these are just two flawed gadgets. When you're able to roadkill someone, or you're able to get a kill from across the map from a flying C4, there's really no incentive for you to actually push into the action. They have remedied this a little bit, especially with the UCAV, because you do have to wait a minute, but I've versed players that literally just sit in the deployment, they wait for that solid minute to go on cooldown, and then fling a couple down range. Like, that's just all they do the entire round, and there's not a whole lot that you can do to stop that. And if you have a gadget in the game that allows you to not confront everyone and just sit back, that doesn't seem like a good game design. At the end of the day, you want players to meet in glorious combat. You want them to have firefights because that's what makes a first-person shooter a first-person shooter. You want to incentivize that type of gameplay. But if you have a gadget that disincentivizes them and actually incentivizes them to sit away from the action and just fling things downrange by getting road kills or blowing them up with C4, then I think that you've strayed away from the goal that is a first-person shooter. And so, well, once again, I have no idea if this is the last that we will see of the SUAV or the UCAV in Battlefield. Who knows? Maybe the UCAV will be a battle pickup. That's a distinct possibility. But I'm hoping that DICE has learned a few lessons from Battlefield 4 and that they can improve upon things in the next big title. The next question comes from Stuart, and it is, what do you think if the Mare's Leg got the standard damage model of a sniper, but got significant range decreases in the next patch? So it would not be able to rival snipers at long range, but it would still get the one-shot headshots. I'm gonna go with a no on this, because the benefit of using a bolt-action rifle isn't going for body shots. Like, yes, I guess that's one nice quality. If you get 2 body shots, no matter the distance, your enemy is gonna die. But it's all about going for those headshots. And if the Mare's Leg at all distances secured the one-shot kill, I don't really see any reason why the bolt-action rifles would be even really viable at that point. You want to keep the secondary weapons significantly less powerful than the primary weapons, especially primary weapons that are exclusive for one class. And if you did decide to go, or if DICE did decide to make this change where the Mare's Leg got that one-shot kill at all distances, I feel like that is pushing things way too far. And so while I will give it to you that the Mare's Leg could use a little bit of loving, I mean, ever since the most recent update, the one that just happened, the Mare's Leg is a little bit better, but even compared to most weapons on the battlefield, especially the secondary guns, I still feel like it's fairly lackluster. There's a lot of times where I get a headshot on someone who's like 30 or 40 meters and closer, I get the headshot notification, but they're still kicking. That gets annoying, especially since it has a slower RPM than all of the other revolvers in the game, like the Magnum or the Deagle. Those just seem like a better pick in basically every situation. Unless you're a god of getting headshots continuously, there's just no reason to use the Mare's Leg right now. And so if they did slightly increase the range of that one-shot killing potential for headshots on the Mare's Leg, I don't think that that would necessarily be a bad thing, but as soon as you get to the point where it's at all distances, that's when I have to draw the line and say that that's too much. And so while I will give it to you that the Mare's Leg could use a very small buff, the suggestion that you make is just too much, at least in my opinion. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's Sunday Mailbox. I hope you enjoyed. As always, if you would like to submit your own question that could be featured in an upcoming episode, you can do so by leaving a comment down below or by sending me a Facebook and Twitter message. But until tomorrow, guys, have a good one and take it easy.